Okay, let's see. I think Leah is back. Let's go to Leah.
Hi. Yes,
Hey, you're
I'm back.
back. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so um like I feel like a lot of things are settling and kind of clarifying for me and like just all that feeling in the body and stuff. But like I think I expected that I would just become unafraid of speaking publicly
Hmm.
before making myself do it, but that's not really the case. And so I'm making myself do it. Yeah.
I'm really happy you're doing it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Public speaking is not something that I think goes away for almost anybody until they actually do it and do it a good number of times.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
very
I was like
normal.
so hard on myself about it. Like,
Oh,
what is like, what's the problem? Like, and look at
yeah.
everybody else do it.
You're
Like,
very charismatic. You like I'm just telling you, you come across very charismatically. You're kind of maybe a natural at it. So I'm just giving that reflection. But even then, it still will feel like you'll make you a little nervous every time you do it for a while. And then, if you choose to like do it on purpose, like a channel or something, it takes some time, but after a while you start to feel rather natural with it and enjoy it. And it opens up emotional spaces and changes the way you interact with people and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah,
Are
awesome.
you interested in doing like something like social media or anything?
Like I don't know, and I think like there's been so much fear around it that I'm
Mhm.
just like it doesn't feel good. So
Mhm.
I have not been gravitating towards that, but I do love to help people and interact with people, but typically more on like one-on-one.
I see.
And I do happen to be like with the Transcendental Meditation Organization
Hmm.
started up a consciousness advisor role, a whole new role, and it's like kind of utilizing Vedic technologies and like Maharishi stuff. And
Mm.
like forever I was having so much struggle with it because I'm like, they're not like they don't totally get it. Like, there's a lot of that. It
Hmm.
was so hard for me. I'm finally in a place where I'm like, well, whatever. If they don't get it, like I can still,
Hmm.
there's a lot of beautiful knowledge there. There's wonderful people in the
Absolutely.
organization, and I can still talk to people, and I can be
Hmm.
one of the people in the group that maybe understands it from a little more experiential
Yeah,
perspective. But I don't
totally.
know about social media. It's
Yeah.
that still it just that sounds scary to me still.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. I was just curious.
Yeah. Thank you for
Yeah.
letting me like use this to deal
Yeah.
with my fear.
Of course. Yeah, totally. What I mean, okay, so yesterday I was invited to like it was like an awakening conference, right? I was a speaker at an awakening conference of a group of people I didn't know. And one of the people got on and she just kind of said, like, listening to your talk really just freaked me out, it scared me, this kind of thing. And I was like, great. And she was like, what? Kind of like, what do you mean? How's that good that I feel so scared? And I said, you're experiencing the emotion right now. That's better than anything that could happen. That's a really good reaction to what's going on. Let's explore the emotion right now. I'm more than happy with anybody even using this space or whatever to just explore their emotion body. And if the emotion body is fear or fear of embarrassment or humiliation, like that's great. We all have to address those. Like I've had to address the fear of humiliation. In many ways, I've had to address the fear of embarrassment. And at some point, they are not demons anymore. And then they kind of become like your friends. They become, you kind of have this it almost feels like a family. Emotions just are these energetic experiences, and there's nothing afraid of them anymore. And it's just nice. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it was nice to see you.
Yeah, thank
I've seen
you.
you before. I think you were on one time before, I feel like, but am I wrong about that?
I think I've spoken one
Yeah.
time and it was like early on.
Ah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, I don't know, just
It was a while
everything like
ago.
locked
Yeah.
up. But I've been, yeah, like, you know, I don't know, following your stuff
Hmm.
since the first like Z Dog interview.
Yeah.
So, and it was my intro into spirituality. Like
Hmm.
I was like atheist,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about TM? Did you do TM before that?
Nope. After
No,
it was like
after.
I was working with your stuff,
Uh-huh.
but like couldn't sit still. I couldn't be in
Yeah.
stillness and quiet. And so I was just like Googling easiest
Yep.
meditations. And literally it was like within 2 weeks, because I felt like I understood so much of what you were
Hmm.
getting at, but
Yep.
I couldn't sit still.
Yep.
And having the combination of the two, literally within 2 weeks, it was like,
Okay.
but I
Awesome.
had so much trauma
Mm.
in like so much trauma. Like being awake with that much trauma in the body was like super tough. Like to
Mm.
finally be where I'm at right now is so nice.
Good.
Crazy.
Good.
Yeah.
You know, so I did TM. I learned TM when I was 19 before awakening, and I did it for 4 years, and I loved it. Like it was, you know, I was the only way to meditate I knew, but it worked well. And it was like the only time during the day, I did it twice a day, like they recommended. It was the only time during the day I actually felt like any kind of happiness.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm laughing, but it wasn't funny. That's how miserable I was. It was very nice. You know, it didn't wake me up necessarily, but it definitely cultivated the soil, and, you know, it helped a lot. It calmed it did the same as you. Like it made me actually feel centered and grounded. And, you know, I knew what it felt like, that my body could actually be relaxed. My mind could be relaxed. I didn't even know it could be, you know, so it was, you know, I owe a lot to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. It's just like for me, it's a tool like any
Hmm.
other,
Yeah.
right? But it worked for me when
Hmm.
nothing was really settling me down enough to like really get to the business.
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Let me maybe send me an email about what you do, like your position there. I actually had a conversation with the head of TM. Did you know that?
I do know
Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah.
I'm so
I didn't know.
excited when you
Yeah, I didn't know
oh
if you knew that.
my
Yeah.
God. Yeah, no, I'm
I
like,
actually didn't know who he was.
I
I
know.
knew his name, but I didn't realize that was his position until we started the interview. And I was like, oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. Cool.
No, I know because I saw you. I think they brought him up in one of your live Q&As, and then you were
Hmm.
like, "Oh, I just had an interview with that guy actually."
Hmm.
And there was like questioning whether he was going to post it because
Ah,
there's maybe some conflicting, like, I don't know,
yeah. I don't
information.
really remember the conversation exactly. He was a very nice guy, and
He
we, yeah, it was good. It was a good conversation. We were kind of like two different schools of the way we think about awakening, enlightenment, and stuff. We were kind of trying to like weave them together a little bit. That's what it felt like, but it's been a while since we had the conversation. So
Yeah, exactly. No, he really is like to any my experiences with him, and I've been
mhm.
learning like underneath him in class, and like
Mm,
he seems wonderful, and the
yeah.
organization seems great. But yeah, there's just a lot of it's that kind of like focused on this being the I don't know. I don't want to get into that too
No, I
much.
understand. I totally get it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
your guys' conversation went great,
Hmm.
and I just think it's such a great opportunity for people in the organization to get more direct access to like
Hmm.
there's the poetically speaking about enlightenment, and then
Hmm.
they're just like getting
Yeah.
to like, yeah, what the real
Getting
experiences.
after the identity.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like you gave TM people so much access to that because they'll trust you after that interview. I don't know. I was very
Good.
excited.
Yeah. Awesome. I was glad I touched base with you. I know your name because I see you frequently and I see you here, but I didn't know, I didn't make all those connections. So that's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah. Let me know how things are going and about that position. Maybe we can have a conversation about it or something at some point.
Yeah, that would be really awesome. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you. All right. Who we got? Sarah.
Hello, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Awesome. So I'm just going to piggyback on everybody else that's been sitting with nerves today before they spoke, but really just wanted to kind of share a little bit about where I'm at in my practice and just see if either of you had any reflections or pointers or what you saw. So it's been more of a sort of spontaneous practice, I would say. I've had periods where meditation was more regular, but I feel like currently it's a little bit more of jogging without any kind of distraction and just trying to be present and aware and open and in presence. Or it's walking and just kind of sitting with how am I not separate? And then I've also been doing some like inquiry with Liberation Unleashed, where they're kind of asking these questions about self and the nature of self, and just really reflecting on that and sitting with some of the practices and stuff. And there's been a lot of just emotion, like really deep, intense emotion that's come up that I've just been sitting with and just making space for. And I've had some really pretty profound sort of mystical experiences in meditation and outside of meditation. And then another thing that I wanted to share was one thing I haven't really experienced is the concept that you talk about a lot with the fear barrier, and sitting with the fear barrier and coming up against it. And for whatever reason, that hasn't been part of my experience. And so I've sometimes in meditation tried to sit with, like, what do I need to see? Or what am I afraid of? Or what do I not want to see? Those kind of questions, just kind of seeing what arises. And it hasn't been too effective, but yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now with this. So.
All right. Viivi, you want to start, or you want me to start?
You can start.
Okay. So first I'll just address the simple issue of the fear barrier. I really say that just because when some people come up against it, it's like surprising how much fear can come out of nowhere when you really start to just let go of thought, let go of the separate seeming self and so forth. But I always try to say it's different for everyone. You may not come into contact with like a very intense wall of fear or something at any given point. At some point, you will probably feel some kind of existential fear, because I don't know how you would get through all of this without that, but it doesn't have to be right now at all. So I wouldn't use that as a litmus test of like how things are going, for sure. It's just, if it comes, it's okay. That's kind of the message there. Overall, like your overall description of what's going on sounds good to me. I mean, it sounds like you know, there's a lot of heart here. There's a lot of interest in the process and interest in actually inquiring. I get a little sense of, I could be just off on this, and maybe you can reflect back to me. I get a sense of like a little bit of, I don't want to say not focused, but like I almost feel like there's something you want to ask yourself, or there's a place you want to look that you're not quite looking. Or there's I'm inclined to ask you, what is this really about for you? And this just may be my intuition. And you may say that doesn't make sense, but that's what I sense from hearing you speak. There's like one place you're not looking, or not wanting to look, maybe. Does that resonate at all, or am I off?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of fear that has been coming up around this process has been, because there's been a lot of like, I feel like identity that's been shed, a lot of self. Like I feel really unstable a lot of the time because I don't feel grounded. Like so scary. It's me. Well, it's scary in the sense of just like not feeling like myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like things feeling really unfamiliar. Like life just feels really unfamiliar. But then some fear comes in, like myself in relation to other people and interactions with other people and how to do that. So there's some of that. So I think, I don't know what that is now.
So that's what I think I was feeling. There's a discord between saying that there's no fear barrier, but you're feeling fear. Like I think maybe you're not fully comfortable with fear. That's
probably true. And I think, yes, there's fear, but you read the descriptions and stuff, and so you have these ideas of, in meditation there's a fear barrier, or you hit this one question, so it's definitely there's discomfort for sure, and there's a lot of just discomfort in just just the loss of identity, these things that you've taken yourself to be that are either not there anymore, or just releasing. Yeah. So
Do you want to explore the fear directly? The sensations, at least? We don't even have to call it fear, just the sensations in your body. That's where I want to point you. Like, where do you feel it?
right. Right. You know, yeah, baby. So
I love
find
I love
myself.
the sound of your little one.
Yeah, this is Carol. Just let her be on. This is
So
Willow.
cute.
So a lot of times the deepest, most intense is in my solar plexus, and so I have these just kind of, you know, just like sitting with that because it feels deep and it feels intense. And so
if we sit with that now and just completely feel it, and we'll just we'll just set the word deep aside for a moment and just feel it. And we'll take the word intense and just set it aside. We're not getting rid of it. You can have it back later. We'll set intense aside and just feel. Does that even have a center? Does it have a boundary? Do you have to actually hold that sensation, or is that sensation the whole entire room right now? I'm going to take away your responsibility of having to hold that sensation and just let the sensation be what it is. Just let it completely be exactly what it is. You don't have to manage it. It's not your responsibility. You didn't cause it. You don't need to fix it. It includes everything. It's all inclusive. It's totally self-managing. It's okay just like it is, that sensation. So let's just feel it together. I can feel it in you. I can feel it as you and her. It's the whole thing. It's all of it. It's all of this. It's all of us. It's everyone listening. You don't have to contain that. It's everything. And she can feel it. Look how calm she is. It's everything. It's totally, totally managing itself. So you're off the hook. Isn't that beautiful?
It's interesting. Yesterday on the call with Josh, and there was a woman that was talking about going to the retreat, and you were telling her that she doesn't have to manage all of it. It just hit so deeply for me. It just just not having to manage it.
Your instincts will take you where you need to go. I mean, you love this, and I see you have this little one, and that's like everything. Of course, that you have to take care of all of her needs and all that, and you love her so much. Of course you do. We all do now, and that's beautiful. Your instincts are going to guide that. Your instincts aren't going to go away, and your instincts are in alignment with the entire cosmos. That's not going anywhere. You're safe. This is a safe space always. And what you don't have to manage is the sensations. They're okay. The sensations. Yeah. And when you don't have to manage those sensations, you won't shoot up into your head, and then you won't be in the world of thought. When you're in the world of thought, it's an endless management project that just never feels good. Hi. So cute. So cute. So cute. Here.
Oh, hey, look. Hey, Willow, what's that? What do you see? What's your doggy? It's your doggy? Doggy.
Puppy. Kimura. Hi, Willow.
Hi.
Like, how's that dog know me? How's that puppy know me? What do you have? Oh my gosh. So cute.
Tape.
Perfect.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Feel better? You have access to that. You have access to that all the time. You know, the management, how do I say this in a simple way you can just take away from this, and you can rewatch this will help, but the management, if you're trying to manage the wrong level, there's no wrong really, but if you're trying to manage at a level where the issue isn't there, then it feels really discordant. So if you're trying to manage the level of thought, you're in a losing war. You'll never win the war. Right. You're in the war of thoughts. You'll never win the war. The world will be made out of thoughts, and you'll think it's the world. When you get down into the emotion body, you'll start to see those intense barriers, and the barriers will be things like, this is too intense. This is too heavy. I can't handle it. They're just little sentinels of barrier that say, like, they're kind of trying to say, are you sure you want to go down here? Then you just have to say, yes, I am. I'm going to go down into that. Once you're in the sensation field, You're okay. You don't have to manage it. It manages itself. And that's where the money is.
Right.
That's where all these other layers of struggle are kind of emanating from. But up here, there will always be struggle. Down here, you can find silence. You can find deep, deep peace. Don't worry about there's me or no me or self or no self or what's going to happen later. You don't have to worry about that here, because here is peaceful and placid and calm, eternally
Right.
calm.
That makes sense. I do feel like that has been what's been shown to me is just that being with the sensation experience has kind of feels like my kind of access, or my like kind of
Yep.
gateway or something. It's just being with the sensation is kind
Yep.
of, yeah.
And in a
As
way,
opposed to, yeah.
so there's a famous story of Buddha when Buddha was being challenged under the Bodhi tree, and one of his final challenges. His answer was basically to put his hand on the earth, and that was the earth was the witness. And that's not just an allegory, and it's not something that just happened 2,500 years ago. It's happening right now. When you feel that sensation, feel your contact point with anything you're touching, all that's the world, with your daughter, with the couch, with your feet, with the floor. That sensation is also part of the sensation, and it stabilizes it. It stabilizes it outward into all sensation, into every sense field. That you can follow that into all sense fields. That's the stability, and the stability is profound. The stability of mind is nothing. It's never stable. It's just always thought chasing thought. You'll never win that war, right? Down here, there's stability. There's a deep stability in the silence and the peace, and you have access to that, and you don't have to manage it. That's the beauty of it. And you can do it any time of the day. You can do it while you're holding your daughter, playing with your daughter, while you're sleeping, while you're waking up, taking a shower. You don't have to have a special time to do this. It's always here. Just keep touching into it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Viivi, you want to say anything?
Well, I just love the story about Buddha that Angela just shared, and I've definitely had that type of moments when I was literally doing that, and because of the intensity of the sensation and emotion, and fear is really can show up like super intense, but it also passes through very quickly if there is just a total relaxation and zero distance into it, like it's just pure aliveness for a moment. And there is this capacity in the body, like this stillness in the core of the body to navigate through all of these emotions and somatic sensations. So just trusting that capacity of the body, just almost like unconditionally, it's like a way of surrender that, that you can just tell yourself like that I have, my body knows how to move through this experience, and I don't need to understand it. Only thing I need is to fully surrender into it and feel it in its fullness without holding myself apart from it. So
Awesome. Thank you.
still you're doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was very nice sharing. Okay, where are we at? Katrina.
Hey, can y'all see me?
Yep.
I'm pulling over. I've been on the road for the last 5 hours. So it's very nice to meet you both. Thank you for your time. So I got into this probably I kind of stumbled across it through Joe Dispenza. Are you familiar, Angelo, with Joe?
I know who he is, but I haven't read his stuff.
Okay, so that was my entry point, right? And that's how I got into it, and it blew me away. It literally was mind-blowing when I knew, because I've always known there was more than what I had grown up, learning from the Christian Pentecostal realm, to be honest. So then over the next few years, I noticed everything kind of fell away. So I got so pumped, and I just killed it. I just went all in, right? And at this time, we had moved to St. Pete, Florida. I'm back in Tallahassee, Florida, but I'd moved down there because that was my dream, because I grew up fishing. So I just wanted to die on a boat fishing, right? So we moved down there and I got involved with it, and everything started changing. And it's almost like all of a sudden anger that I used to have. And I think it was just because I grew up fighting a lot. So that was just, it was actually fun. It wasn't like a, that's just the way it was. And so you just learn that you're always on trigger, and so that calmed down tremendously. Judgment, have no interest in TV, no interest in politics. Lost my interest for fishing. Lost my total interest. Now I don't know why. I just know it's gone. Materialistic stuff gone. So it's like, other than my job and my spouse, and I live on YouTube. There's about 10 or 15 of you that I read and listen to, and every now and then I'll come across someone different. And so I'm at the point where the last thing is to go inward, right? I've done everything but go inward, and I'm really tired of seeking, to be honest. But I think the question is, and I think I haven't wanted to go inward because it's weird when it's on your own, when you're doing it yourself and you're responsible for it. You're like, because the questions come up and I know their thoughts, right? I get that. But I know that's really the only way in. And then I've tried where you, like, sometimes inquiry, I struggle with that. So I try to focus on what makes me feel alive and focus on that aliveness. But unfortunately, I have so much pain that that's really what I feel is the pain. So I actually just focus on the pain. So have you ever come across that? Is that the way to do it? If I struggle with inquiry, to focus on, again, I can tell that I'm alive and I can feel that, I guess, presence, because you really can't pinpoint it. But for me, it's more pain than it is the presence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's pretty miserable to be in this spot.
Yeah.
To be in this place, because everything's gone. Everything's gone.
Yeah. Viivi, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just feel, I feel to ask, like, is it like physical pain, or is it?
Yes.
Purely physical pain. Okay. Yeah. No, I lost.
That's okay.
Mitch. Well, what I feel with the pain is really just this compassion and love for the experience. It's because it really puts us into that place where there's nothing we can do, and kind of helplessness and humbleness with that, and I feel it's like an invitation to just offer just a lot of self-compassion, and do the inquiry somehow very much infused by that type of like loving kindness, because the pain can really well, it takes a lot of attention, and
yeah, it does. It sure does.
Yeah. So there may be investigating ways how would it be possible to soften into it at least a little bit more, and maybe there is wisdom also in it that can be inquired into, and but not trying to force anything. I wouldn't try to force anything. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for your question. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You have to be really gentle here, and compassionate with yourself. you can inquire into it to some degree, though. You can see, once you come into contact with it, if you're able to really come into contact with it, feel what's actually happening without a lot of narrative, or maybe even hopefully not a lot of resistance. But even if there's resistance, come into contact with the resistance and be accepting of that. Understand that it's kind of natural to want to resist pain. And so feel all of those spaces or all those aspects of your experience as directly as you can. You can inquire, though, and say, hey, is there something this pain is actually trying to tell me? And just very open-ended, and give it time, like give it space.
And then just sit quiet.
Oh yeah. I mean, the answer may not come that day, may not come that week, but it may come, and it may not come in a mental formulation.
Sure.
It may come in something changes in your life, or something very obvious happens in your life. I don't know. But a lot of times when we have a lot of pain, there's something else associated with it, an emotional experience, something we want to address in a different part of our life, or something. Not always, but it could be something like that.
For
if
physical pain?
Physical pain.
Okay.
Physical pain, for sure. I've had it.
Okay.
I've had it.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it. I know it doesn't. It feels very non-narrative. It doesn't feel like it has a story, but you can actually ask any physical experience in the body. You can ask it for guidance. You can say, hey, if there's something I should be seeing here that I'm not, or something I should be addressing that I'm not, anywhere in my life, in my emotion body, anywhere. I'm open to seeing that. I'm open to that information. You can ask it in that space and see what happens. I know this sounds maybe a little ephemeral or something, but I've had people have very profound experiences by doing this kind of thing. The other thing you can do, just as a practical measure, is consider TRE. Have you tried that at all?
No, I've just got introduced to it. Actually, someone on your that you interviewed, I watched part of it, and so that was the first time I'd heard about it. But yes.
So I can tell you, I've known several people personally, and had many people since I started talking about it and interviewing people about it, that have had significant changes in their sort of pain, like dramatic, like dropping of the amount of chronic pain they have. Chris Guimond, she's one of the first person I interviewed about that mentioned TRE. I interviewed her about awakening, but she had pretty severe jaw TMJ type stuff, where she was going to have like a pretty radical experimental surgery, because she had tried everything else, it wasn't working, and TRE completely cured it. Like, she doesn't have jaw pain anymore from it, and she said it didn't make any sense to me. I have no idea why it worked, and it took me a long time in retrospect to see how the tension in the body could be connected all the way up to here. But so there are people who have some pretty dramatic releases from TRE of pain and stuff like that. It's free, it's easy to do, it's certainly not going to hurt you. It's worthwhile to try, and it's something very simple. You can do it, for 10 minutes a day or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. And outside. Okay. Thanks, Angela. What and outside of that, if really outside of going inward, and trying to figure that out on my, not figure it out, but trying to find that spot. It's almost like it's like you've dropped everything, and there's nothing left.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, I can tell there's been a lot of that attrition in your life, a lot of, clearing space. And that clearing space can happen before awakening, after awakening, it happens throughout. But it's okay. It's always making room for something more real. Nothing that's real goes away. What goes away is a bunch of illusion, actually, and sometimes a bunch of bad habits and distractions and all that. They tend to fall away, and that's okay. Sometimes there's a gap, and it's not always obvious what is coming or what is going to clarify in your experience, but it will. And with that dropping away, there's a lot of grief, and that has to be acknowledged as well. And that could be part of the pain cycle as well. There's a lot of grief that goes with this process, because even though it is illusions we're letting go of, to the degree that we're identified with those illusions, it feels like a lot of loss, and the body mind interprets it that way. And so it's okay, but you'll likely feel a lot of grief. And some people are really without noticing it, they really tend to repress sadness or grief. Other people are much more comfortable with it, but just know that that's very normal as well here.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty rough, but you can't go back. You're stuck. You can't turn around. So
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you.
You're so welcome. Stay in touch.
All right.
All right. Let's go to Rose.
Hello. A few people that were on here, Ray, and then and Sarah. I kind of relate to some of what they're going through. I think the reason why I raised my hand was because I just and I am doing some TRE. I'm actually working with Miss Chris. But I'm just finding that part where I am, I think, and if there's a process where I am, and this is just really starting to like find my way into what my emotions are within my body when I start to have some kind of like I've always had this unsettledness. I think anger is probably the emotion that I have the dance with the most. But a lot of times accompanied with that have been the thoughts. And I was listening to one of your non-barrel with Eshwar, and he said something that really just kind of was like, oh, okay. He said that, that's your gateway in, your thought, if whatever thought you're having is your gateway back into the body. Because I'd been kind of struggling with, and I apologize, my toddler's here listening to a sound, but
all good.
But I think I was struggling a little bit with the anger. It gets really kind of caught up in my body, and I do a lot. I didn't realize I was distracting myself from it. So I think what I'm getting from some of the other speakers was that is what it is. That is what you need to do, is to just allow that sensation within, and then and sit with it, let it be there in the body.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. It's really hard, very uncomfortable. TRE is helping some of my physical pain. So yes, definitely investigate the TRE. But yeah, in between, it's the mind is still not as settled, I guess, as I'm there's a little impatience there.
Yeah.
So just anything that you can
you're investigating it very nicely. Like impatience is quite tied to anger, disappointment tied to anger. Get to know anger, understand it. First of all, you're already at the maturity level where you can feel it without acting out on it, or at least sometimes you can, obviously, because you're talking about it that way, and that's great. You can also let it move through your body in a way that's not like acting out, but it is movement. So try something like intuitive movement, intuitive dance. See if that works. TRE is going to help unload this a lot. I know it sounds funny, but like a dancer would tell you that this makes a lot of sense to them. Are you a dancer?
I actually taught Zumba for a long time. I don't know if anyone is on here, but that's the one thing that I've actually, through some of my most recent experience, I've kind of pulled away and retreated back from community. So when Leah was talking about, I'm so uncomfortable talking in front of people, I was like, I don't relate to that at all. I can talk in front of all of y'all. I could sing in front of all of y'all. We can all shake it together, and that's all right. Yeah. But this anger, though, it's like it's hard.
Maybe consider, because your body knows what dance is, consider like not Zumba, but just your own thing when you're by yourself, not in front of anybody. See if you can see how that body wants to move with that anger. Like it may want to vocalize, it may just want to move, but do that intuitive stuff. I would consider trying it. You might be really surprised. But I think the TRE is going to really help, and it just takes some time.
We've only been working at it for 2 weeks together. We've had 2 sessions together, and in between, she's given me a specific dose of a prescription, if you will, of it. Yeah. So, I mean, I do notice that at least I'm able to connect to the physical sensation within, which I couldn't do before, because I get caught up in the thought and I just take off with it. But now I'm able to catch up and actually say, hey, you know what? I'm feeling a little angry right now, so I'm going to just go over here.
Totally. And that's like, I want you to congratulate yourself for that, seriously, because Anger becomes destructive when you don't know it's anger. That's when it's destructive. When you get in your head, you avoid, and it builds up, and then it comes out unconsciously in the totally inappropriate situation or whatever, or in an unnecessarily escalated situation. So so the fact that you're addressing it is wonderful, and it's great. And make a study of it. Really start to feel like, what is this actually about? You know, the other thing I would suggest or just consider, I did an interview with Kevin Shanelek about the fetters. There's one called Fetter 4 and 5, and it's about reactivity. And it's a very specific thing he teaches us to do there. And I would recommend just looking into it because it's really interesting. I reflect on this a lot in a lot of settings. Basically what it is you look at what it is that causes you to be triggered, what makes you react or want to react. And what we usually find is it's a very simple thing. We want someone to do something and they didn't do what we wanted. As simple as it is, that's usually what it is. Some version of, I wanted that person to not cut me off and they did, or I wanted that person to drive like I expect them to drive, but they didn't do that. And that makes me mad. And the more you look at that, the more you realize, like, but do I actually have to get mad about that? Do I actually have to react? And what is the cost of reacting? Because reacting only really hurts me and those around me, but it doesn't actually change anything about reality. And you finally start to see, like, oh, I don't actually have to react, you know, and just the noticing of it is the work. You don't have to force anything. Don't add force to any of this. It's really just about curiosity, and you trust that it's okay to be curious about all this, because a lot of times there's a tie between anger and fear. We're actually afraid of our own anger, or we're afraid of losing control, and that triggers our anger. So no, I'm giving you permission to look at all of this and be very curious and make a study of it, because that's what you're called to do in this life for whatever reason. And you may know fear better than anybody when you're done with this. When you get through this, you may be able to help people who have terrible problems with anger that are very destructive. You may be able to say this to them in a way that no one else can. So there's a huge value to doing this, to looking into this. Really, you have the capacity for this, and I want to know how it goes for you.
All right, and I'll keep you updated.
Wonderful. Very cool. Viivi may have some things to say as well.
My daughter's name is Viivi too.
No way. That's cool.
But only one V-I-V-I.
Gotcha.
Right. Well, the only thing that comes up for me, just to add, and I don't know if this is relevant for you, but anger also has got to do with boundaries. So that's also good to just notice that association. So if there has been any boundary violation and the body is still carrying the memory of that type of like unresolved experience, so the anger can arise sometimes when something similar, something that reminds those situations arises in the present moment, and then it's just about like recognizing that that's what it's about, and it's actually a very healthy energy, like in that way, that we have like healthy boundaries at the human level and are able to recognize them and have them in a fluid way, of course, like not in a rigid way, but yeah, that's just one thing that came up for me.
Go.
And generally, I find with the anger that it's really great if there's like possibility to alternate like with the expression, like to find a way how to move with it, like Angela get it with the dance or intuitive movement or voice, or some kind of like outer expression and exploration. And then to drop into complete stillness and just silence and sit and then feel it in that type of way, and just completely just kind of not react to it, just feel how it feels in the body, and to alternate between those two ways of investigation and inquiry, so can be powerful.
Thank you. Yes, exactly what I was hoping for from both of you. Thank you both. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I have one other thing to add, and I will second what she said, second, third, and fourth about the boundary stuff. And that's 100% what it is, what anger is about. And so it is a healthy emotion. The other thing I will just suggest, have you ever seen the documentary, The Work?
Yes, I actually I had to buy it on time because I didn't want to rent it. I was like, I know I'm going to see it again. So yes, I did. And
yeah.
yes,
So
did start changing the way I kind of was seeing and interacting with my daughter. Like, just,
Yeah.
okay, she's everywhere. She's never still, only when she's sleeping. Like, I have to be constantly moving. And when I have this deep desire to want to sit still, but I can't, like, I have to get up and stop her from climbing the,
Yeah.
so.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's really important that we acknowledge that children will trigger all of our emotions, including frustration, anger, all of it. And that's it. Having healthy, outlets and being able to investigate and all of it. That's all very important stuff, but it's also just important to recognize, like, it's probably the most challenging thing an adult can put themselves into is the experience of being the primary caretaker for a child. It's very challenging emotionally in a lot of ways. And that's normal. It's okay. What I was going to say about the work is I also did an interview with the executive producer, Dr. James McCleary. Did you see that? Okay. Those guys, he was talking about this a lot in prison. Those guys had so much anger to start with because they had so many boundary violations. They had to get through these layer after layer of anger to start even. So what I was going to say is they do have it's called Outside Circle. It's a circling group you can do online. And I think it's cheap or free. I did it once. It was awesome. And it was Rick Meisner, who's in the movie. He usually facilitates it. And you can get on and do that if you want. I think it's like Tuesday nights or something. I would give it a shot. Because those guys know how to circle. They know how to get to the bottom of anything. And, it's something to consider.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And Miss Viivi, thank you.
You're very welcome. Good luck. Peter, what's up, man?
I don't know if this is as much a question as a comment, but I watch a lot of your videos. Whenever I have spare time, I always try to search your videos. And of course, a lot of them go through a complete explanation of maybe what to expect, where you talk about things approaching awakening and the fear.
I think you froze, or did I freeze? Did we all freeze? Looks like he froze. The rest of us are moving. Okay. I don't know if you can hear me, Peter, but oh, there you're back. You're back.
Oh, sorry. And so I find that somewhat discouraging. I don't really feel active fear in those, but I am attracted to listening to them, even though they're discouraging. And just to give you a little background, I don't know if you remember, I'm a stage 4 colon cancer, and I did try TRE with Chris for a couple of months, and I didn't feel that it made too much of a difference for me. But I have found that over the months and last couple of years, my reactivity has gone way, way down. And I've kind of learned to accept that this is the body and this is the life that I've been dropped into. And, this is what it is. But like Sarah, I haven't consciously felt, that I'm encountering the fear barrier, even though I think that I probably should be pretty fucking afraid. I don't know if there's a question there, but
when you say that, why do you think you should feel afraid?
Well, the fear of death seems to be lurking in the background somewhere. And I feel like I don't feel it consciously, but I feel like that's a part of maybe why I should be afraid. Maybe I'm not.
Maybe you're not. I don't know. But when you say it feels like it's lurking in the background, or it seems like it's lurking in the background, I think that's probably some good intuition. it's something to consider. Something to consider would be really sit and ask yourself, like, what am I really afraid of? Like, if I were, if this would end tomorrow, what is the concern there? What is the fear? What am I going to lose? What do I not want to lose? Those kinds of questions may be able to drop you into that experience.
Well, intellectually, I know I'm not losing anything, but I need that to be a more visceral realization.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie The Grief Walker?
No.
It's a documentary about somebody who works with people in hospice situations, people who are dying. And he's a very interesting, very enigmatic guy. He's a Harvard-trained, I don't know, social worker, I think, or something. But he goes and works with people in hospitals and families who are having trouble letting go of, sometimes when children are dying, things like really challenging situations. But it does have a lot of wisdom in it, I think, as well. And he does as well. Something to just consider. I feel, I could be wrong. I feel a disconnect between the intellect and the emotion body a little bit. And I think your intuition is pointing you there based on what you're saying. How to access fear, or what I'm really feeling at any given moment. You might spend time asking yourself, what am I feeling here? And it may be very subtle. It may not be fear. It may just be, I don't know, disappointment, anticipation, frustration. You did describe one thing, and that was, did you say, you didn't say frustration when you watch my videos, when you see the maps. What'd you describe it as?
Discouraging.
Discouraging. Why is it discouraging?
Because it's almost as if you're saying, I know what you're obviously trying to do is to prepare people for what they might encounter, but some part of me is accepting it as, this is terrible, don't go here.
Is this is terrible, don't go here, is that about physical death, or is that about this spirituality stuff?
It's about awakening. And on the surface, as I said, I don't feel fearful. In fact, I feel like I welcome this process, and I look forward to it in every way I can. It doesn't discourage me. I don't want to run away. It's not that kind of discouragement.
Yeah.
It makes me want to work even harder.
Well, that's the rub, though, right? Because when I tell you, what does it make you feel when I tell you it's right here, though? It's not somewhere else that you're going to experience it. How does that feel to hear that? Is it like, do you not believe it, or does the mind grab a hold of that somehow, or how does that hit?
I totally believe it, and I can feel it. A lot of times when I sit, I can feel it. This is all there is, but then there's a part of me wondering if it's something different than what I'm feeling.
Okay, that part that's wondering if it's different. What do you call that?
Doubt.
Yes, and that's a thought. It's only a thought.
Right.
That's all it is. That's all it ever will be. I could reassure you 150,000 times, but that doubt thought, you either believe it or you don't. You gotta stop believing those doubts.
Yeah. Well, it wavers. There's times when I can definitely feel what's going on at any moment. But I still have never really felt, I mean, I still hold on to some sense of a separate self.
Is that when you say you hold on to some sense of a separate self, where is that in your experience right now? What is that? What is the nature of that statement?
I don't know what it is. I can't identify it.
It sounds like a thought to me. I'll be honest.
It is, for sure. It's a thought.
It's a thought.
Yeah, I have no doubt of that.
There's no one holding on to that. There's no one holding on to anything. It's not happening. There's a whole lot here not happening.
So I'm just wasting my energy dwelling on that.
Maybe a little bit, but it's just what's happening anyway. It's the attention just gets sucked into those thoughts sometimes, but that's not happening to somebody. That's the key, is whether there's a thought or not, whether a thought feels more poignant in the moment or it's just a passing fluctuation in consciousness, that is not happening to anyone. There's no one that's happening to. And the only thing that would deny that would be a thought.
Right. It's all part of the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot more clarity than you're giving yourself credit for, conventionally speaking.
Maybe.
Expectations. I mean, really, some of this stuff is just clearing out some of these old thoughts, the expectations and the doubts, and they're tied to one another. The doubt doesn't feel good, so I'm going to go grab an expectation. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all thoughts, and there's no one grabbing. That's what I really think. Yeah. Yeah.
I know you're right.
Yeah. Good. Good. You're there, man. Let's see if Viivi has anything to say.
Well, what caught my ear was when you said that you like want to have it viscerally, like this felt sense of knowing of your real nature. So can you like talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, because we're always, I mean, Angelo and I mean Josh and others always talk about getting in touch with what you're actually feeling. How does that translate into what your body is telling you? What feedback are you getting back? And I feel like I'm not getting a full response from my body a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel that it's clear for you, the sense of like just like the sense of undivided nature of your true nature, like just the presence and beingness, even if it's not necessarily felt in the body at this always, but it's still, it has a kind of clarity.
Yeah, I feel like I can be in whatever kind of awareness I'm in at the time. I feel like I don't know how to describe it, like I am my world or whatever. I can feel that. Yeah, when I sit with it.
Yeah. Like I would just continue like abiding as that in however way that it manifests in your experience, and just keep doing that. It's really very simple. There's nothing else to do than just to abide as the presence, and that will deepen eventually into a very viscerally felt well, it's not an experience, but like moment by moment living from that, and then death, it's just like changing clothes from the point of view of eternity. It's just like changing clothes, and but what really fulfills is to feel it in that type of visceral way. But it will drop there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe sometimes I'm looking for more experience, looking for that to show as experiential, and so I feel like I'm maybe missing something.
Okay.
When it's really all here, and I'm just not paying attention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said it there. Yeah, there's no need to look for any kind of experiences. For some people, they show up, and for others, they don't necessarily show up, that type of traumatic experiences. It really doesn't matter. They are just byproducts. And what actually matters is that very kind of neutral moment by moment, which doesn't have any qualities to it, that deeper truth of what you are. And it's there, like, so immediately. It's just like right here, right now. It's just perfectly.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Angelo.
Thanks.
So-
Yeah, my pleasure. And she just covered it, and I think we drilled down to it. It's like it comes down to expectations. An expectation is nothing but a passing thought. Doesn't mean anything. You do what you want, but you probably don't need to watch a bunch of videos anymore and stuff. Like, just abide in that. It's right there. It will deepen to the degree it needs to. But yeah, if we compare our experience to anything we've heard or seen before, it's just doubt. It's just a form of doubt. It's a thought. Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. Viivi, thank you so much. You were awesome. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Angelo. No, this was great. Yeah, I
been
loved
fun.
being here.
We'll have you
Same.
back. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And we ended with 2 hands up. One was Rachel, one was Brian. Remind me next month, we will start with Rachel and Brian if you're here. And that's it. Thank you all so much. Thank you for all your wonderful questions and everybody's lovely presence, and bringing the kids was fun. And all of your honesty, vulnerability. It was just a blast. So thank you all.
Thank you, Angela.
You're welcome.